Hi everyone, thank you for coming. Thank you, Banu, for introducing me. Um, so I am Mariana, because like she said, I come from a city in South Brazil called Porto Alegre. And then think of everything you think about Brazil, it is nothing like you imagine. We have like even colder weather. We have once a year we have snow, so nothing like you'd imagine Brazil to be. And I'm a graphic designer. I did most of my undergraduate in Brazil, in Porto Alegre, but I did a 1 year sandwich year in Wales. So I studied in the University of South Wales in Cardiff, and that's how I became a graphic designer. While I was studying, I started working at this design studio called Sweet & Co. in South Brazil, and I was working there as a graphic designer. What was special about this place was first is that we had a 6-hour journey. So we worked from 1 to 7 and we had the full morning for us to do whatever we'd like. We had a great client selection. So every client that we worked on with were very aligned to the values of the company. We had a family-like environment. All of them are like my best friends until today, and I worked a lot with branding and packaging. These are some of the projects that I worked on during that time. They were all very colorful, fun, playful. Some were more elegant, but you can say it always follows this visual language. But then, like I said, it was only in the afternoon. I had the mornings free. And then during the pandemic, I started freelancing for this other company called Meg and Meg. And at some point, I left my job there at a design studio, and I worked only for Meg and Meg as a graphic designer. And it was a stationery company. So I created a lot of notebooks and planners and everything stationery related and even more. So there I was doing freelance. I learned about flexibility. It was an all-girls team because it was like a very female brand. And it sold like organization as an empowerment tool. And those are some of the things that I created while working for them. So not only classic stationery like notebooks, but also backpacks, and there are some collections for kitchen, and there are collections for pets and clothes, and I had a lot of fun working for them, creating all those sorts of very cute and fun products. But then I was feeling there was something missing, because what I thought is that my personal values were so aligned to sustainability, but then on my work, I was just designing waste. So everything I created would eventually become waste, especially for packaging. Imagine it stays with you for like 2 minutes and then you throw it away. And also notebooks and all those things would eventually become waste. So I embarked on a new chapter that is London Baby, and that's the chapter I am now. I came to London to study sustainable design at Kingston University as part of the Chevening Scholarship. And then I could align all my personal values with my work, and then much of the things we are going to discuss today are things that I learned during my course. And then that I told you about me, I went to learn about you. So what you can do is you can scan the QR code, or you can go to menti.com and then type this code, and I'm going to ask you some questions. Is that okay? Can you sign if it's fine? Yeah, the link is also on the chat. So the first question is, what do you do? Like, what do you work with? So I can understand where you come from. And cool, UX designer. So I know nothing about UI UX. As I said, I worked primarily with graphic designs, very printed stuff. So all people related to tech, not my area, but you see that we can come together and then exchange some expertises. Have everybody typed what they do? I'll give you half a minute and then we can continue. Okay, cool. I think we can move on. And then what I want to ask you is, how would you rate the sustainability of your current work practices, from like not sustainable at all to I'm kept on sustainability? Ooh, number 4. That's cool. So we are currently in the middle, number 3. It's a good place to be. I would say that's where I am too, because let's say nobody's kept on sustainability, but it's good that we are all trying to do and then get involved with sustainability in our practices. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my sustainability journey. When I first entered uni, on my first module at uni was called eco design, and I learned a lot of things, and the only thing I can remember is that we are not supposed to use glue. And then that kept in my brain and was like, I cannot design with glue. We had our final project for this module was to create a product using materials that you have at home. And I created this blue lamp with the flowers, and it was so stupid. Like, I got a lot of plastic and paper and a lot of things together, and I was so concerned about not using glue that I just sewn the flowers onto some plastic. So stupid. But they're always like, yeah, I'm not using glue, I'm being sustainable. And then I came to Wales, and I had this module to design a packaging. And I created the packaging for these juices that follows all the cliches for sustainable packaging design. Like, it uses unbleached paper, it uses like funky handwritten fonts. The bottle is glass, and I didn't use glue. And I was like, yeah, I'm kept on sustainability, I'm not using glue. And then I went back to Brazil. And then we had this competition to design the wayfinding system for this student event that was going to happen at my university. I won the competition, and then we actually put it in practice. And the whole system was based on used cardboards. So I spent like 1 month walking around the city, driving from here to there to get and collect a lot of cardboards. And then in the end, we had a lot of work to put a lot of cardboards together for a 2-day event, and then everything became trash in the end. So looking back now, I see that those projects are terrible, but they started my sustainability journey. And I was looking a lot at materials, and now I think it's very sustainable design 101. So not using glue, using unbleached paper. And then I thought, I'm so innovative. But actually, I was just like doing reduce, reuse, recycle, which is great, but it's very entry level. It is something that we have to move on from. Because sustainability is complex. It involves multifaceted challenges. It is based on social, environmental, and economic challenges. And it goes beyond a singular discipline's lens. So I shouldn't be looking only at materials, but looking at why people are consuming that juice, or why I was creating a lamp, or all these sorts of things that I wasn't considering. And you can say it's like the pillars of sustainability, or everything intersects, but the thing is, you have to consider all these challenges when talking about sustainability. And then I did my little research, like I typed on Google, sustainability for tech. And then these very basic concepts came, like choose a green hosting provider, optimize media and images, use dark mode that should be used when creating apps and so on. But also those are very basic concepts that should be standard, and then you should look over that. And then my question for you now is, what practices do you do in your work today regarding sustainability? And it can be using dark mode, or it can be, I don't know, I want to see where you are in your sustainability journey. Give you 10 more seconds. Oh, I have a response. There are no standard practices. Oh. Anyone else? Like I said, I'm really not into tech. I want to learn from you what you do. The start of the journey, that's cool. It is for accessibility, dark mode, but also it emits less energy, I guess. Again, I'm not very into tech, so I cannot give you those answers. But good. It's good that you're starting to think about it. So what we have to do is to move beyond designing products to design how the world works. So rethink how systems work and how services work, and applying it to tech. It can be like, oh, you're designing an app, but actually you're not designing an app, you're designing how people are interacting with the world. And then understand why you're doing that is so important to go into your sustainability journey. And then you can think like, if having children is the worst thing you can do for the planet, maybe yeah, I shouldn't have children, or maybe I should stop existing, or maybe I should stop designing if what I'm designing is so wasteful. But I wouldn't say that's the answer. The answer is to start acting more responsibly and to recognize that design connects us to everything around us. And it is a powerful tool for changing realities, because if you think about it, everything we interact with is designed by someone. So you can use that as a tool to reshape things, because design is a big part of everybody's everyday lives, and we can use that to change social and ecological challenges. So now I'm going to share you about my real sustainability journey. So I moved on from those very basic concepts in the beginning. And back in Brazil, I'm the founder of Clube das Miçangas, which is a collective of young women that come together every month to share their skills, mostly on crafting, but also everything that surrounds the life of a young woman. We believe in the power of bringing people together and sharing skills. And we're starting our workshops because we believe that shared knowledge creates transformation. This is one of the last events that I did before coming to London. And then we invited people to paint on these letters. And then they didn't know what they were painting. They were just painting letters. And when they bring it all together, they constructed this sentence that is written, "The future is handmade." And it gave people the chance to talk about why the future is handmade and their visions of how, like, using their manual skills and putting their time on this to disconnect to the world is actually helping the future. And we did that because we believe in small exchanges, in small gestures, in sharing our strength, our energy, our knowledge, and getting something in return. And then we believe in a network that is made with many hands. So the power is really on the collective. And then on Clube das Miçangas, we are all about shared knowledge, feminism, affection, and circular economy. Those are our core values. Another project that we did was during the pandemic, we had to cease our in-person events. And I felt like the community was missing all these interactions. Also, we also noticed that many of the people in our community that had their own small brand where they sell what they produce, but during the pandemic, it was very hard for them to sell. So we did like a little Christmas fair, but online on Instagram, where we shared whatever people were creating and selling, and then it increased selling for everybody that took part in it. And it was so nice to see how our community came together and just supported each other. And then this event was also very special because we did this movie debate about a movie on menstrual poverty, and invited different people with different experiences to come and share what they learned about and how it's to live in their own bodies. So what we value is self-care and empathy for others. And then we believe that bringing people together can change realities. And one learning that I want to share with you is that sustainability needs to include diverse and critical voices and to engage with intersectional thinking. So during our events, we try to connect with as many different people together so we can learn from other perspectives and see how we can move forward, taking like being aware of everybody's needs. And then this is tackling a lot of on the social part of sustainability. Another project that I took part in was I was part of Food Design Nation, which was this virtual network for people working on food and design. And then they wanted to collectively design better futures of food. We did a lot of meetings just like this, where people would come together and talk about what they are doing, and then say, maybe I need someone to collaborate with me with this project. And then all these designers from all parts of the world were coming together during the pandemic when we were all at home working on these projects. And then one of the projects that I took part in and that I'm very proud of is that we put together a magazine to share all the learnings that we had during those meetings. So we invite food designers working with sustainability in different parts of the world to come together to write articles for the magazine, and then the magazine were published and it's available for people in all parts of the world. So we printed it, we had launch events in more than 10 cities across the world. We had it in Israel, in Brazil, in London, in Barcelona, in India. So we had a lot of events everywhere. And we continue talking about those issues regarding food and sustainability and design, and sharing the knowledge that we created during these meetings. So Food Design Nation was an international community that sought collaboration and shared practices. And this is a screenshot of another project that I took part in that was based in Chile, but then people from all over the world was working on it because they saw that in Chile, people were starting to leave behind some culinary practices, and then people start to not get more access to some kinds of foods that were very traditional to Chile. So what they did is that they invited designers and artists from all over the world, and we would get together with local community and talk about their experience with Chilean food. And then in the end, the designers created this exhibition with their vision of the Chilean foods, and it was so amazing. And it brought together the conversation about these endangered foods in Chile. And that teaches us that co-design is designing with, not for. So if we're talking about Chilean traditional food, we cannot just go on Wikipedia and learn about it and then create something. You actually have to talk to these people and co-design with them. So we get a design that is much more aware of the needs and whatever we need to move forward. And all these projects kind of influenced also my master project at my university. So I got together my passion for food, for community, and for co-design. And then I created Future Foodies, which was my major project I just finished. It takes the power of young people in creating the future of what we eat. And we have to wait a little second for the page to load. But anyway, this project was a toolkit that helped young people to do these workshops to create the future of their favorite foods. So let's say someone really liked burger, but then eating meat is not sustainable. So how can we make a sustainable version of this burger? I got people from 8 to 14-year-old to come together and think of those foods. And then I did some pilot workshops, and I learned that even though kids were saying that they were unaware of the future food, they actually are very aware and very prepared to design what they want to eat in the future. So it was an example of coming together with people to see what are their needs, and then let them design as much as I, as a designer, let the kids design. So this one, for example, is a girl that she created a lot of dishes with fonio. I have never heard of fonio before this workshop, but then she learned about it, and then she started designing foods with it. So for your information, fonio apparently is a grain that tastes like hazelnut. And this is another thing that came up from these workshops. This was very impressive. This was an 8-year-old boy. And then this is a visualization of what he wants in the future. So he wants to talk about community, land, and activism. He wants to have community kitchens. He wants to go beyond recycling, to go zero waste, and get together for climate hope, and vegan markets, and new people plans for food. And this was an 8-year-old saying what they want for the future. So it was very humbling that those kids knew as much as I did for this topic that I'm so passionate about, but also I got out of it very hopeful. It's not nice to deposit hope on a new generation. It's not fair on them, but also was very hopeful. And just let's wait a second for it to load. Yeah, so this is one of the results that we came up with. It's a jellyfish sushi. This was a 14-year-old girl that she knew that the jellyfish population in the ocean is increasing a lot because we are doing a lot of predatory fishing. So the fish that was supposed to like eat the jellyfish are not there anymore. So we have like this super population of jellyfish. And she loves sushi, but she knows also that salmon is very endangered for the planet. So she created this version of a dish that she loves with an ingredient that is very sustainable. And actually, I had people from China come to me and say that in China they eat jellyfish and it's delicious. So now I really want to eat jellyfish sushi. And just a second. Oh, that's annoying. This is the first time I'm trying this app, so probably I'm not using it anymore in the future. So now we are going to the end of the presentation, so that's fine. So here are some advices that I have for you. One is to look deeper to uncover the root causes of why things happen. The next advice is suspense. But actually the next advice is to consider the how as much as the what, and then use systems thinking in your designs. And then the next advice is to have long-term thinking and to imagine futures for those after us and see ourselves as guardians of the planet for these new generations. Let's wait for it to load. There it is. So I would say to you to start with people, learn from other disciplines and perspectives, and empathize and participate to understand. So I talked about a lot about projects that I worked on, and here are some of the tools that I use to work on these projects that you can access and then use to work on your projects. So the first one is the Circular Design Guide by IDEO and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. If you enter the website, you can download a lot of different tools for working on sustainability and circular economy projects. It's amazing. And the next one is the Designing Methods for Developing Services by the Design Council. It is going to load soon, I promise. But then it is also a set of tools that you can use, a lot of worksheets that you can download and help you guide through designing more sustainably. And then it's the last slides. So what I want you to think about is that people design change, but also people change design. So whenever you're designing something, consider people, consider who you're designing for, consider others' experience as much as yours. And then now it's open for you. If you have any questions, you can type, you can talk, you can whatever, if you want to know anything.
Thank you so much, Mariana. That was very, very informative and amazing experiences you had. Like Mariana said, now is the time for all of you to ask your questions. So feel free to open your mic, write it in the chat or however you like it. So the floor is yours. Sarah B is saying, thanks for sharing your experience.
Thank you, Sarah. I think I'm going to move for the next slide because oh, there's a question here. What are my next steps? That's a great question. So I have just finished my master now, and I'm planning on going back to Brazil for on the next month. And then when I'm there, I'm thinking what I'm going to do. To be very honest with you, it's there's so much I can do now with all these new skills that I haven't decided where to move on. But I really want to work with food. I'm very passionate about food and sustainability and how design can help us with that. So just like my major project, that's kind of the direction I want to move forward.
That's great. Any other questions, everyone?
I think I'm going to move on for the next slide because this dog moving is driving me crazy, but please leave more questions on the chat if you have any questions.
Does anyone want to like share their experiences related to sustainability that?
Yeah, I would love to hear about your experiences.
If you had similar experiences as Mariana's or anything related to that, we'd love to hear it. No?
Hi, I thought I'd just say something. I came to the talk because I'm really interested in sustainability, and I know especially within tech, just the industry in itself is not great, not very sustainable. But I guess the difficulty I always have are these big ideas, and you feel really enthusiastic, but then when it actually gets to your day-to-day job, sometimes applying things is a lot harder, and you start to feel maybe not as enthusiastic, or you lose the day-to-day grinds you down, I guess. So how do you think you're going to maintain that enthusiasm? And actually, I'd be really interested in your experience with food, how it compares London, Cardiff, Brazil, that kind of, I guess, the change you can make with food. Because I know Cardiff quite well because my sister used to live there, but I feel like sometimes in cities where everything is so available but also quite expensive, being I guess trying to be more sustainable with food is harder. Yeah.
It is, yes. So let me say the first. Again, I'll change the slide because I'm getting crazy with these dogs moving. So leave it with this. So when I was working with packaging, I tried to embed sustainability as much as possible when I could. So there was this project that was to design a packaging for the hugest, like the biggest cosmetic company in Brazil that is called O Boticário. And they were going to design, they were going to launch these shampoo bars, we have here at Lush. They are going to launch it. But then they asked me to design a standard packaging, regular, whatever, same packaging as for any other shampoo. And then I did this huge research of how the packaging could be less impactful for the environment. And I wasn't being, like, I had to get time for that because my time was to design a very standard packaging. But I knew that it was like the biggest opportunity for us to create this huge impact because it's the largest company in Brazil. So imagine the impact of changing one of their systems would make. So I had to be very stubborn, and I did all this research. I came up with all this data, and I showed them why they should implement it and why it wasn't good for their image to launch this sustainable product that doesn't have a sustainable packaging. So it was very tiring. And I'll say to you, it wasn't easy, it wasn't expected of me, but I did that because I knew that was what was supposed to be made. And in the end, they loved it, they implemented it. It's now in production phase. And I'm very, very proud of that project. I didn't show you because it's not launched yet, but but I think that's it. It's a day-to-day battle you have if you believe in it and as you should. Try and try and try until you get it done. That's like my little piece of advice, I'd say. And try not to give up, because what happens if we give up? Like, the people that actually care about it give up, what we do. So it's tiring, it's not perfect word, but yeah, let's continue. And then on the food question, that's a good question. When I was living in Cardiff, I was really young and I really loved food, but then I didn't have all the information that I have now. So I cannot comment too much on my experience in Cardiff because I was like 18. So, but then now it was strange coming to London, because in Brazil, I was working for like 7 years already. I had my own money, I could invest on my food, and I knew people that would grow their own food and I would buy for local people, and I had this more sustainable relation with food there. And then I came to London, a city that is crazy expensive, and now I was with a student budget, and so this transition wasn't as smooth as I would like. Also because I was used to live in a tropical country, so fruits and vegetables were easily accessible and very diverse, and here everything comes from somewhere else. So it was an adaptation phase for sure, to see how I could like consume more sustainably in a way that I could afford, and also things that were produced here. It took a while, but then I subscribed to one of those veggie boxes, and it was really fun because I got to experiment a lot of vegetables that are only available here, because I subscribed to the all British veggie box. So I got this purple thing with legs. I don't even know the name. It was delicious. And broad beans, whatever. I don't even remember the name. So it took me a while. It is a little more expensive than buying at Tesco, but also it was much more delicious. Like, the carrots were amazing. I would have carrots for breakfast, and also they would last longer in the fridge. So yeah, it's a matter of adjusting and see what's available for you, how you can be less impactful. And like strawberries, I didn't eat strawberries all year because it came from like Spain or whatever. But then during summer, the British strawberries were everywhere. So I ate a lot of strawberries. Yes.